Because when you start looking back at history, you begin to understand that the beginning of transactions was peer to peer. It
Yes.
was bartering. But what happened? There was a technological limitation because let's say you had a cow and I had 3 plots of land. Well, what if the 3 plots of land were worth 3/4 of a cow?
Mhm.
There was no ability to really scale and build any sort of civilization until the introduction of coinage. And
Mhm.
coinage wasn't just a monetary revolution; it's a technological advancement. Why? Because it can stand the test of time. It can be transported very easily. So Bitcoin is just a digitalization of coinage in a way that is easy to transact. If I was to take $100,000 from here to Dubai in gold bars, I would get stopped. I would get questioned,
100%. You have to declare that too.
but I don't have to do that with crypto
Yeah.
because I
Could
don't
be on
have
your
to go
phone.
through the middleman. Exactly. I can just have a ledger. I can have a Trezor. I can literally just move it really quickly. And what I've come to realize is they've weaponized money, right? To keep people in control. And Bitcoin is an attempt to kind of move away from that weaponization into sovereignty so that we can once again go back to bartering peer to peer.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the government obviously wants to get involved in that so they can collect their little bit and then also regulate it and be like, oh, well, we're gonna take our cut because that's the only reason why they want to regulate is they want to get their money too.
And think about it, not just them, but it's the banks. So for example, let's
Yep.
say think about the taxation process from the moment you buy a good till till the end of the transaction. I pay you
Mhm.
for a good, I pay 7%. Now you have to pay taxes on that, right?
Yep.
If you use the remainder of that money to buy something else, that gets taxed. Not only does it get taxed, but there's credit card fees on every single transaction that
Yeah.
takes place. So what happens if you get rid of these transactions, these middlemen? These people can no longer make money, which obviously is their business. People think that the business of the bank is to hold your money. No, they make money on remittances. They make money on investing the things that you deposit. So when you begin to understand the banking system, you begin to understand the scam that it is and that you don't actually need it. And Bitcoin, which is just kind of like the introductory to this entire ecosystem that is digital money, has allowed people to realize that you don't need banks. You just need technology that is fast enough, efficient enough, and trustworthy through code because you're trusting code. You can see code. You don't have to trust a middleman. You don't have to trust an individual who usually has alternative motives.
Yeah. Not only that, I find it interesting how people trust the banks or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, they're because they make money off of you putting money in there, and then as soon as you give them that money, they take it and they throw it somewhere else. They're giving it to someone that wants to invest it. That's what they want to do. That's how they make their money
That's
is giving
correct.
it on interest. They make money on lending money on interest.
Yeah. So the creation of, for example, the paper money was just a proof of ownership. That's all it was. Because, for example, let's say you had $100,000 worth of tokens or coins, you would just deposit that in the bank, and the bank would give you a receipt. People began to transact this receipt as the proof of money. So the fiat currency that we see today is just proof that you have money. It's no longer money, it's debt. And
Mhm.
the moment you deposit the money inside the bank account, it's no longer yours. That's what people don't seem to understand. If you look at the terms and conditions, that's why it's FDIC insured up to 250,000 because
Yep.
everything else is literally seen as you lending money to the bank. That's why you get 0.01% interest because it's a loan. And now it's no longer the deposit is no longer seen as a deposit, it's seen as a liability.
Yep.
Everything that the bank holds is a liability because they're loaning out to you with interest when you deposit it in there. And then we can talk about the fractionalization of that.
Yep.
Anytime you deposit money, the bank has the ability to fractionalize that 9 times.
Yep.
So you have the printing and printing and printing of infinite money when you begin to realize that the only allowed circulating supply through the Constitution was $300 million. Everything else is fake.
Yeah.
Everything else is just printed through fractionalized
Not only
reserve
that, the
banking.
interesting part is like, what the bank is only responsible for holding what, like 2 to 3% of how
Yeah.
much money they're supposed to be holding. So, and for all the people that say, oh no, it's my money, blah blah blah, go to a bank and ask for 50K.
Yeah, and all the questions.
Watch them shut that bank down, bro. They're going to shut that
Crazy.
bank down to give you that if they even have it there. You will not be able to get that money out. Let's say I gotta go buy a house or some shit, or I gotta buy a car, I gotta make a big purchase, whatever, and you have 50K in there, $100,000 in there, $20,000 in there. Let's say it's 10,000. They're gonna ask you a bunch of questions. They might not be able to give you that money that day. That's the crazy part.
I agree.
And you got to
Yeah.
hope that the money's there.
Yeah.
Actually, Grant Cardone went to withdraw, I think, like $1 million from the bank, and they We give him hell to get it out.
Yeah.
He couldn't get it out.
Couldn't even get his own money out, bro.
1 million.
Yeah, and that's crazy. And then if you want to deposit, it's even funnier. They're going to shut the bank. If you got like 100K, you want to deposit in there, they're going to shut the bank down and ask you a bunch of questions.
Well, add to that. Look what happened in Canada with the truckers.
That
that basically said, hey, we're going to stand up because we actually don't like what the government is doing.
Yeah.
And they started freezing bank accounts.
Yeah.
I think
for them and for anyone that was helping them.
You know James O'Keefe, the guy that does the undercover news reporting. Have you seen him?
The name sounds very familiar.
He used to be part of something called Veritas, which was like a media company that kind of discloses certain things undercover. They just nerfed or they just nuked an IRS agent from the Criminal Investigation Department, and he confessed that the Department of Justice actually has AI tracking all bank accounts right now.
I believe it.
So now you're no longer safe. No, you don't have this idea of privacy. Privacy does not exist. It's an illusion. So anytime you enter a centralized system, you're under their rules and their control. And for people that don't understand that, that's fine. You can just you can continue living on your US dollar. You can continue doing your thing, and you'll just have to deal with the consequences later on. It's very simple. We're not here to convince anybody about it. When Bitcoin was $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and everybody considered it toy money, that's fine. You can continue believing that, but it all comes down to people's lack of financial literacy. And this is what I always tell people. Every time that there's any sovereign power, what they want to keep you is illiterate. 500, 1,000 years ago, the church would keep you illiterate from reading Latin. Why? Because they were the connection between you and God.
Yeah.
That's why when John Wycliffe rolled around and translated the Bible into English, they wanted to kill the man. Why? Because he simplified the access to God. It's the same thing today. You have financial illiteracy. Go through the bank. Go through this guy. Go through that guy. We'll take care of you. And then you begin to realize that there are ulterior motives, and the ulterior motives are to keep you slave, controlled, and absolutely. And people are starting to wake up to that.
No, absolutely.
Well said.